My ex-husband dumped our kids at my doorstep and tried to blame me for it, but when they called the police, they ended up exposing themselves instead. I have a 9-year-old son, Max, and a 6-year-old daughter, Olivia, with my ex-husband, Dan. Max has severe autism and requires a lot of care. This was on Tuesday, and as I was away for a funeral, Dan took them in the morning and evening. X and his girlfriend, Sophie, picked them up at 11 a.m. My husband, Luke, took this time to play a round of golf. They finished the game at 4 p.m., and the golf course is 30 minutes from our house. I got a call at 5 p.m. exactly from Sophie screaming at me about me abandoning my kids. I was confused and eventually realized Luke wasn't home yet, so I told her where the spare key was so they could wait for Luke to come home inside. Unfortunately, Luke's car had gone kaboom on the motorway, and he was in a complete coverage dead zone. He was able to call emergency services, but nothing else would connect. When the police arrived, he first asked if someone could contact Dan to tell him what happened. However, Sophie was already on the phone with the police to report me and my husband for child abandonment. They said one of us should have been there, and my ex doesn't feel safe inside our home, so they've left the kids inside our home, and that the police needed to go and save our kids and arrest us. The police officer speaking to them told them multiple times to turn around and that they were the ones who had abandoned them. This whole time I'm getting messages from Dan saying how this was unfair on him and Sophie and that I'm a terrible parent for leaving them with someone who doesn't give a poop about our kids. At this point, I didn't know what was happening. I only knew that Luke wasn't home, but Dan had found the spare key. At no point did he tell me that they'd left the kids alone. Luke got hold of me via the police, and I arranged for a friend to go around there as soon as she could, but the police already had a unit. Thereafter, they called Sophie. After this, I've decided to try and get his 6 hours a week taken away. I've given him so much leeway over the years, and this was my limit. Our son is dependent on an adult, and our daughter is 6. He would only say to defend himself. Well, I kept up my side of the agreement by bringing them back after 6 hours. This has caused a whole other poop storm, to the point where Sophie sent me messages that the police are now investigating them. Dan hinted he will try and get the kids taken care of because of my husband abandoning them. I had multiple people ask me why I'm staying with someone who abandoned my children. His parents have threatened to try and gain custody of the children, saying the children need a stable family unit, and calling my husband abusive. I said F this and put the whole story, with evidence, on my private Facebook page and people quickly understood. I spoke to a police officer yesterday about the messages Sophie sent me. I will gloss over some details, for reasons, but they are moving forward with an investigation. There's a continued pattern of behavior, and it has been escalating. She's made some very specific threats and over the weekend sent me a message that contained information she would only know if she had followed me to where I was at the time. Luke has set up external cameras in our house, ensuring the cameras always cover our cars. I feel awful that I let this person be around my kids for almost a year. I let her be around them but didn't know her well enough to spot she was capable of behavior like this. Update: Child Services was involved, and an investigation was conducted. Legally, parental responsibility is solely mine. My ex didn't put up a fight. My solicitor and the Child Services people did much of the heavy lifting and carried me through it all. They're saints. Around Christmas and New Year, neighbors called the police to Sophie's home, and she was arrested. There was ongoing domestic abuse, and that final incident resulted in him being seriously hurt. I don't know specifically what injuries he had, only that she effed him up bad. She has been charged with grievous bodily harm, coercive control, and non-fatal strangulation and is being held on remand until the trial is